Welcome to another episode of Tales from the Tables with your host, Rob Bradley.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 7 of Tales from the Tables. I'm your host Rob Bradley and I'm joined as always by my two esteemed co-hosts, JC and James. Hey fellas.
Hello.
Hello. Esteemed? We're esteemed. I feel honored.
Well, I think after Friday, I think you both are. I think you deserve those titles, don't you?
Oh,
Rock
wonderful.
on. Yeah, Friday was great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So those who are listening who don't know, we did the GM Academy, the Game Master Academy on Friday at Oxford University, and it was a great success. Yeah, we had over 40 people there. Mixture of talks and workshops. JC, you did a talk, didn't you?
I did. It was called The Volition of Voice. Basically, how you can use your voice to bring your games and your characters and your games to life. Whether you're playing D&D or you're playing Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, any TTRPG, anything that involves role-playing with other people. I went overboard a little bit, but it was a blast. And I got a lot of questions afterwards. A lot of people queued up to have a chat and just ask different questions about it. So
yeah, I saw you getting swarmed after your talk. I very nearly came up and was like, "Oh, hey, I have some stuff to ask as well."
It's definitely one of those things. The voice is from a dungeon master's perspective, or from a player's perspective. In fact, if your dungeon master is good at voices, the immersion is just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a reason that I think there's a very good reason, apart from the good production value, that things like Critical Role do so well, because it's entertaining to listen to and to watch all those professional voice actors really giving it their all, really getting into their characters. And I'll never forget, I had a Rolldark game way back when where a person brand new to D&D had never played a game in her life showed up, and then I think about 10 minutes in, and she sensed that this was, a group of complete newbies and strangers. And she said, "So why is it so hard for, how come this isn't like Critical Role? How come nobody's doing character voices like Critical Role?" And I'm like, well, okay, let's set some expectations. Not everybody is a professional voice actor. Okay.
Yeah, right.
But no, it was a blast. And and then we had some breakout workshops. James, I know you led one, right?
Yeah, did. I had a brief talk and then interactive workshop on using maps in tabletop RPGs, which was really cool. I did a little speech about why you should be using them, try and encourage people to use it more. Theatre of the Mind's great for running D&D and stuff, and it does have a lot of advantages.
Sure.
But there's a lot to be said for using physical tactile maps, and the easiest one of those to do is the digital maps that you can create on things like Incarnate, which is what I talk people through doing. Because there's people with aphantasia, you have people with autism and ADHD who it helps them focus on the game more. It takes a little bit of the pressure off the DM, and also you can have a quick tea break mid-combat, and you don't have to try and memorize where everyone was standing in your brain.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's also good. It's also good for that crossover between Warhammer and D&D as well, isn't it? Because I came from Warhammer to D&D. I played Warhammer for years. And then started playing D&D, and it was like, okay, great. And I wanted to have a mini. I wanted to see a map. I wanted to see my surroundings because I love the strategy element of it, and I love the combat. They're positioning everyone in certain positions based on where all the bad guys are, and I just love all that. So it's good to have that visualization.
The tactics of it for sure. I came into D&D. I actually started, believe it or not, with the dreaded 4th edition. I went back and played a little bit of 3.5 afterwards, but my DMs that taught me, because it was a pair of friends that traded off DMing, they were very tactical. They came to it from not a Warhammer point of view, but they had been playing video games for years, and they loved super specific stuff. They loved Risk, for instance, the board game. So it was all about
great.
How interesting could the scenarios get with environment and with enemy types and levels and heights and things like that. So I inherited that background as well, I think. What was your army? Just out of curiosity, your Warhammer army?
Space Wolves.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice,
Space Wars.
badass.
Vikings in space.
Yeah, I've never played 40k, but if I did, I'd probably go Necron because
Oh,
how badass are
my
those?
Terminators. Yeah,
Yeah.
you kill them and they get back up.
yeah,
But
You knock them down
ancient
and they get back
Egyptian
up.
Terminators, basically,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
This
they all
is a
come
really
from these
sick
like
idea.
desert worlds. Yeah.
They were vampires. They were vampires. They're put into the bodies of robots.
Right,
It's
right,
the law. Yeah,
exactly.
it's
It's
fucking so sick.
40k Lord's nuts.
who
I-
sat down at a table one day and was like, we need another army. We've got the Space Marines, we've got the orcs with a Z and the boys. What do we do next? Oh, I know. Why don't we put vampire spirits, but in robot bodies, and have them
Yeah.
swarm planets?
Why
great.
not?
So
Why
good.
not? I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool.
Oh god, I had quite a few armies growing up.
You play too? Jeez,
Yeah,
I'm like the only one who never played.
I had
Wait.
Tyranids, Space Marines, and an Imperial Guard army as well. And my brother had
Oh, nice.
and an Imperial Guard army.
Have you been to Warhammer World, James?
I haven't. No. When I was younger, I couldn't get there, and I think my parents are very hesitant to take me. And,
Yeah,
and
right.
You have
and
access
to
to
remortgage
adult
the
money
house.
now.
I
Yeah,
do, but now it's spent on D&D minis instead.
Yeah.
It's a money pit.
I've got to pick my
really
battles.
is.
Yeah,
40k is
yeah.
ridiculous because like it must be on what it's like 9th edition, 10th edition, or something ridiculous.
10th
Maybe even
now,
more.
I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
something
10th
like that.
has just come out.
10th edition. So you're buying a new rule book, which is massive, which costs you about 50 quid. Then you've got to get a new codex for your army, and then they bring out a load of new minis as well.
Yeah.
And so you're literally every couple of years you're forking out a load of dosh.
Yeah. It's such a barrier to entry, especially for me. I grew up not. I had two hobbies like that growing up, and it was Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And people they kept phasing out, and I got so mad. I was like, you know what? I've been burnt on these two. I'm not going to get into this third new craze that everyone's going into. Magic, screw that. And now I regret it because Magic is the one that's kind of stuck around the most, right?
I love Magic. I play Magic quite regularly, and it's cardboard crack. That's basically what it is.
That's what it is. Yeah,
it's literally it. Like the rotations now though, they're getting themselves into a bit of hot water, their community, because they're literally having rotations every couple of months. There's like a new deck out, and then like the old deck is like gone.
Really, you have to keep up with it. That geez.
And the thing is as well, they really want you to play Friday Night Magic in a gaming shop where you can do the draft and you can pay the money to play. Whereas me and my friends, there's about 5 of us that play Magic, and we just get together. We go to like a gaming shop. I think the last time we did this was about 2 months ago, and we all went into this gaming shop, and they love us when we go there because we literally buy a load of stuff and stick it as like whoever wins the commander overall gets all of this. So they'd have like a Zelda Monopoly game. There was the D&D starter set. There was a set of dice. Like we just basically spent like 100 quid each. It just went, there you go. And the guys are like, can I get you fellas a drink or anything?
Yeah, right.
Because we know that when you get those guys playing Magic in these gaming shops, they spend no money. They'll go to like bars and stuff, and they just sit there and just play, and they just don't spend any money. They might like buy like one booster pack.
And then that's it. And then they walk away and you don't see them for another 3 months, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're like, right, we'll get food, we'll get booze, and we'll literally just buy all the cool stuff and just put it in, and then winner gets all.
I'm telling you, man, we got to do a Rolldark pub very soon.
We should, man.
All out Rolldark gaming center, shop, cafe, pub, everything.
Yeah, that would be cool. That's the dream.
Beholder and dragon heads on the walls.
Yeah, totally. So sick.
Any of the DMs, chefs. That's all we need to just round it out.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Cool. So JC, you were sat in on James's workshop, weren't you?
A little bit, yeah. Towards the end and towards the beginning, yeah. I love, as you guys know, obviously we've talked about it here a lot. I love being very visual and immersing my players. The more I can do it, the better, and the more technical and impressive it is, the better. So I love battle maps, and I have a ton of people I support on Patreon that deliver these beautiful maps, but so often I'm finding myself making excuses for the maps themselves. Like they're not quite exactly what I imagine, or one of my players will be like, hey, there's a there's a bloody axe on this table. What does that mean? I'm like, I have to be like, pretend it's not there, or I have to be like, well, it's a butcher's, and kind of make it up on the fly.
Yeah.
And I'm just craving being able, being confident rather enough to create my own map. So I really wanted to sit in on James's session as much as I could, and it was awesome. Like, basically, James, you built it on the fly. Like, people were just giving you ideas, and you're like, yeah, we can make this a cliff. Yeah, we can make this a mountaintop. Yeah, we can put some trees underneath and put a summoning circle in the middle. It was awesome.
Yeah. I just I had suggestions from the crowd, and we sort of crowdsourced a map all together. And made it look. I think we did it quite quickly as well. I think within half an hour from start to finish, building it, getting ideas, and having it all made. And it's not the best I could do, but I'll put it in the Discord, actually, the map that we made, because I've got
there
it.
You go.
Yeah, nice one.
So people can see it, because I'm very proud of it. Yeah, it's it really looks good, but that was done quickly. Like, if you really wanted to spend time, you could get to the point where you're placing like tiny little individual pieces and really going into like crazy detail with it.
Sure.
But even quickly, it's good.
Yeah. Next up, I really want to see you do like a typical like dungeon, like an underground dungeon, because I know that there's like right ways and wrong ways on Incarnate to sculpt out the halls and figure out what kind of textures to put down and stuff like that. And that's where I find myself doing the most sort of back work, where like revamping the dungeon that already exists, where I like really have a good idea for a dungeon in my head, or I sketch it out, and then I just don't know how to translate that to Incarnate.
Yeah, so it's tough. And Incarnate is good because if you're using a digital tabletop as well, you can just do the whole dungeon on one huge like image, put it in Roll20 or Foundry, and then just put the walls in, so you can run like it with the tokens, revealing it as it goes.
Love that.
Yeah, or you can build it like a room at a time on each individual little one, if you don't want to like, I've got to make 50 corridors and make it all interlocking, and then you've got to plan out how it fits on this on the canvas. I've gone too far left here, now I can't keep going that way.
Exactly. You're like, now I gotta shift everything. Yeah Totally.
Do you ever get them printed out, James?
So we've done a couple of things. So like when we went and did the Gala Games thing last year, I printed out a load of maps that I'd made on Incarnate. And they look really, really good, because you get them printed out like poster size, and as long as you've got the grid measured before you print it, you sort of know the dimensions. It's very easy to do, but it is expensive. So now what I do is like what I did for Rolldark Fest and Oxford on Friday, is take a TV with me, project it onto the TV, and have the TV as the game board.
Great.
You don't have to worry about printing out, and you can change maps, so you've got like an infinite number of things you can do, and you don't need a very good TV. My TV I've had since I was 15 years old, and that's how old it is. It's like an old little 32.
Yeah, and really, I mean, you lay it flat and you plug it in, right? And then there's an HDMI cable, and you're done.
I tried that with the one I've got here, and for one of the games I've been running, and for some reason I can't quite get the dimensions right. It's like I'm always having to like zoom in, zoom out on my laptop. Just as like it just doesn't quite work. I don't know what I'm doing wrong there.
I don't know. I mean, I could try and help. I suppose it will, if you've got the grid like set out already on it. You can try and match it up to the dimensions. I don't know how big the TV. So mine's a 32 inch. So I try to keep it, I think, on the height between 14 and 16, and then on the width, sort of 26 to 28, and then it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. Also, it doesn't need to be perfect either, as long as the minis mostly fit in the grids. So I play with minis on the TV. So as long as they mostly go in there, even if there's like a little bit of overlap, as long as you can tell what square they're supposed to be in, it works.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll have to give that a try.
Makes sense.
I've got a couple of games coming up. I've got one in Swindon on the 14th of August.
Ooh.
So I'll try that on a Monday night. That should be fun.
Straight it's a good way to start off the week, right? So.
Yeah, right. Let's finish the podcast and then like, bye-bye.
Back it in.
Straight down to Swindon. Cool. So one thing I really loved about your talk, JC, was and I know I've seen you do it before when we did it at Pinewood Studios that time with just the GMs, was the physicality of voice. When you talked about the tusks and the like how a troll might have an underbite and how they might speak, and they might speak like this.
Yeah,
So it really, because I think, like you said in your talk about accents, and how a lot of DMs will just sort of default to just doing accents to just kind of do a voice, whereas they won't get into like the physicality of it, which I think is really cool.
I could have talked for another hour if I'm being honest. There was so much I wanted to do, and I wanted to get the people involved as well. I might do that for the next time we host this if it's a new group. I'll have them do voices and then help break it down and help them improve, just to get them going a bit more. But yeah, with physicality, I have to give credit where credit is due, and I'm gonna forget because of course my memory of a goldfish constantly betrays me. But the voice actor, very prolific, the guy who does Bender from Futurama, who did Jake from Adventure Time. I see his face. I can't come up with the name right now. He's very, very famous. You guys can look it up at home. He's actually in I think it's a documentary called I Know That Voice, which is about voice actors. Came out a handful of years ago, maybe a decade or so. And in that, he talks, John DiMaggio, that's his name.
John DiMaggio.
And he talks about exactly that. I think they even bring up a cartoon of a troll and they show it, and he's walking you through how, in 10 seconds of that interview, he's walking you through how, oh, he's quite big, so now his voice is loud and deep, but he's also kind of hunched over, so he's got a bit of gravel, and then he's got these tusks that you have to try and imagine in your mouth and talk through, and but now he's wearing glasses, so maybe he's quite an educated older troll, that kind of thing. And then you can see the cartoon building it out. So that always stuck with me because it's very visual, right? So I'm just passing on the knowledge of the greats, that whatever filters through my system, I filter out and pass to others in the same sense.
Well, seeing this is a vocal podcast and not a visual podcast, I think what we should do is we should do a little experiment, JC. I think you should pass on your knowledge onto James, and let's see if James can do exactly what you've just you said, or something similar, and then put him through his paces, and let's see what he's got.
Okay, I like this plan. All right, but we can't do a troll. We got to give him something.
Oh yeah,
else.
of course. Yeah, that's too easy. That's too easy.
Gosh, what comes to mind? You want me to be a real dick about it? I could give you a Thry cream. You know how to
be an insect.
You know those? Yeah, the insect. Be the insect. Somebody asked me to do that the other day, and I was like, okay. No, let's go with.
You can feed me the lines, because I'm going to struggle to concentrate on thinking up things to say and doing a voice. But yeah.
Oh, come off it. You can think of something to say.
Robert, you got any good suggestions for a creature or a type of fantasy character?
Not sure. Let's have a think. So, what about a griffin?
Ooh, a talking griffin.
Yeah, a talking griffin.
Ooh.
Let's just go for the physicality of a griffin, and then just discuss that, and then you can then decide on your voice, James, based on what we talk about. So, so griffins, they've got quite big pouty chests, don't they? They sort of stand up
quite
yeah.
royal. I feel they're quite royal.
Ooh, yeah, true.
Yeah,
they've got
so
the
regal
wings, so I'm sort of feeling like it would come from the sides of my body, maybe in my back.
Ooh.
Yep.
The voice.
I like it. No, you're on the right track. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
I mean, I also think about how, like, if you want to put this into the works, you know how a bird constantly looks out the side of their head and is kind of moving their heads rapidly but jerkily kind of a lot, so maybe their speech kind of emulates that. So rather than a rather smooth flowing voice, they punctuate, so it's kind of talking like this, all the time because they move around.
Oh, don't help him, JC. Don't help him.
No, okay, all right. I'll shut up.
Oh God!
Come on, James, you got this, man. You got this.
I think the beak is what's struggling.
Yep.
Okay, give me a sentence and I will try and work with
all right. I got you a sentence right here. Because I'm just pulling this from what we're gonna talk about later. The party were all college professors whose colleague had gone missing.
The colleague? Oh no, I've messed this up already. But the party were all college professors whose colleague had gone missing.
Nice.
Yeah, well done, man.
For those of you not at home, you can't see it, but James is like using his whole body, and that's part of it, right? Because for us, it's just audio, but when you're running your game, like James, you were flapping your shoulders like they were wings. You were twisting your head from side to side. It was epic.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
I could actually like hear you focusing on like the space between your shoulder blades, like trying to make the sound come out of like hollow bone structure.
Oh, that is what I was attempting to do. So good.
Great. Yeah, well done.
Rob, now on you. No.
I could do one.
All right. Hold on. You know what? I realized I have great inspiration right here, and I wasn't using it. I'm holding up a Fantastic Beasts water bottle, only because I really like the water bottle. The series is, kind of hit or miss. But there's a great giant spider on it. What do you think a giant spider might sound like?
A giant spider. Well, I from what I remember of spiders, their mouths aren't particularly big, are they? Their mouths are actually quite small, but they do have big fangs.
Yes.
Which kind of like come out of the side of their mouths. And they've got like little teeth like this. So they've obviously they have 8 legs, so they've got a lot of movement going on in their bodies. So their body probably shakes an awful lot when they kind of talk, because they're moving around quite fast. And I don't know, maybe do they is it flies more like the sicky mouth, isn't it? That's the fly, isn't it? Does a spider have like a parrot? Well, I suppose it has got a venom in its fangs, is it? Or is it its saliva? Yeah, in its fangs.
It could be venom if it's a venomous spider, yeah.
But I suppose as well, because it spits out a web, which I know comes out their bums, but still, there might be like some kind of like
there's
silky.
Fluid building up.
There's a fluid build. Yeah, there's a fluid. There's like silkiness.
There's like a silkiness to them. With their fangs that come out like this. Hello, come to me. Oh, another little fly is caught in my trap. Get him.
That's amazing.
How's that?
Oh, fuck yeah. That was great. You gave us everything. You didn't just do the voice and like you explored it as you went, but you also gave us like the injecting sounds and the eating sounds. Like that was amazing.
Hopefully not blow my speakers by those things. I'm just looking at the bar here. It's like it's like peaked. I was like, oh god, so it might not come out very well. But yeah, hopefully.
That's great. That's great.
Cool. Epic. Yeah. So so it was a really, really good day we had, wasn't it, on Friday? Really cool. Also we had Jordan and Damien. Big shout out to those guys who did a talk each. I think you guys, did you miss Jordan's? I think you came in on Damien's, didn't you, JC? Or
I came in on Damien's. I caught I'm sorry, I was there for all of Damien's. I came in on Jordan's. I think I had missed one person before him.
It was me.
But
just introducing.
Oh, was it you?
Just introducing them. Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry. I didn't do a talk. I just basically split the room up into groups to discuss what their most epic D&D moments were. And then they had to decide in the group who it was. Then they had to go up on stage and effectively tell that story to the rest of us. And then we had to decide who was the best. And I believe it was Anthony Pagent who won, and he won a Call of Cthulhu starter set.
Ooh, shout out.
Yeah, shout out to you, Anthony. Well done, man. Yeah. And then Jordan had us discussing story and how to kind of build the world around you so that you're effectively projecting a description into the heads of your players. So a lot of like theater of the mind type like things. Like he was explaining how imagine a rock and how a rock might look, which is all very detailed and great. And he did a wonderful job of it. And then Damien was talking about campaign creation and how to create campaigns, where to build from, and how you sort of go on the fly, and how to effectively give players agency, which I think is one of the most important things. Yeah, one of the most important things about what DMs do, what we do as game masters. So yeah, it was great. And then we had that great Q&A sessions at the end as well. You guys took part, which is cool.
Yeah, and we had some, obviously at the same time that I was doing my map thing, there was Chris's thing that was going on. Nay's
safety tools.
DM prep was Chris's, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yep.
And Alex was doing memorable NPCs.
Memorable NPCs.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
And we had a couple of games going on as well around
We did,
that time, right?
yeah. We had,
Luke was running Call of Cthulhu,
yeah,
wasn't he?
Yep, Luke Pipe. Shout out to Luke. Thank you so much, Luke, for joining us in on that. That was awesome. I found him actually on. Well, actually, he found me on Instagram. In fact, he's getting on his way to becoming a bit of an influencer in the space. So I was like,
Okay.
okay, yeah. He gets like over 300 likes on all his posts. So I was like,
Nice.
right, yeah. I was like, yeah, okay, cool. You can come and
yeah, join us.
Right.
Come.
Yeah, come join us. Join us.
Plug.
One of us.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, so pretty good all round. So because of obviously we had that event on Friday, I had a lot of planning last week, so I wasn't able to collect as many tales from the tables from the games as I would have liked. But I know, JC, you've got some for later, haven't you? And
oh yeah, I'm sitting on a good one.
Oh, I can
sweet.
I can pull one if we
need.
And
James,
you too, James.
Okay.
All right,
okay,
all right.
Cool.
James, you wanna do yours first? You want me to do first?
Oh, you go first. Yeah.
Okay. So this shout out goes to Danny and Ed, who play basically a campaign of my own making every Thursday. It's a private game. These are two wonderful gentlemen and currently based in London. And they are playing a game that I call Mistbound, which is just a grand tour de force of several different domains of Ravenloft. I don't have a script or anything, so I'm just kind of wing it from my memory. But basically, in the domains of Ravenloft, and I might have talked a little bit about this at some point, the mists are very lethal, right? They can be, so the mists are kind of what form these natural barriers around different countries or different domains of dread, they're called in Ravenloft.
Sick. Yeah,
and if you walk into them, either they turn you back around and you end up in another domain by mistake, or it's like breathing poison in a way. But I really lent into it, and I wanted to really give them a taste of exactly how dangerous and spooky these mists were. In one particular domain called Darkon, you'll find this in the official lore of at least 5e. Darkon is plagued by something called the Shroud. And the Shroud is effectively the mists on steroids, right? The long and the short of it is the domain has lost its ruler, and the mists that exist on the border of the realm realize that they no longer have a reason to keep this domain in existence because the prisoner, aka the ruler of that domain, wasn't around anymore. So they start to cannibalize the realm from the outside in. And little by little, roads and towns and cities are disappearing to the Shroud. Every night it moves, and there is less and less and less to the country, slowly but surely. So my players are trying to, effectively save the domain and stop the Shroud from killing everybody in it. But they hadn't had any experience with it. So until I brought them to a little village, it was just a pit stop on the way to their next destination to solve the sort of grander mystery. Just a place for them to rest. I introduced a couple of sympathetic NPCs, including the daughter of the innkeep, a little girl named Allie. They interacted with her a bit. One of the players gave her, did a little sleight of hand trick and gave her a silver coin, which she had never seen before, so she was taken to it. And while they were sleeping, I described that they woke up to the sounds of panic and screaming, and then the sudden snuffing of voices. And as they looked out the window of the inn, they saw the wall of mist, like a great tidal wave, slowly rolling into the village and snuffing people out and buildings disappearing. And so they, we ran a little bit of a skill challenge. They raced out of the inn. They were gathering their supplies. They're trying to get to their NPC to get the wagons hitched and going before the wall of fog hit. And just the last thing that they saw before the wall basically stopped right outside the village was the little girl who was shouting for her parents but couldn't find them, and the wall of mist surrounded her. And so that is where we did like a sort of a leave, right? We cliff hanged it there. Cliff hung? Is that a word? we left a cliffhanger there. And she was swallowed up by the Shroud, and then I was like, yeah, she's totally obscured. You can't see anything. It's all silent beyond that wall. And then my players said, okay, I know I can't see in there. I'm going to cast Detect Thoughts, and I'm going to go in. And that's where we killed that session. So the next session, this is where it gets good. He wanders into the mist. And immediately I had this whole thing written up. I was like, the world around you disappears. You can't even see your own hand in front. You can hear dim voices, but you don't think they belong to anyone that was there. It's whispers in the fog, creatures that shouldn't be. You hear eldritch sounds, this whole fancy floral description. And he has, of course, no idea where the girl is, but he was smart. He has to detect thoughts. So he's trying to listen to the thoughts of that person. And he ends up through a series of amazing checks, because you have to roll a DC 20 Constitution saving throw at the start of each of your turns, where you take 1 level of exhaustion. That's how the mists work, right? Wow. So this is very lethal, especially to a low level party. And he rolled I think he rolled a nat 20 right off the bat. And he was fine for the first round. He ended up finally bumping into the girl as he was sort of following her panic thoughts. And then, of course, the other player was like, well, I can't let my friend go in there alone. But he had the brilliant idea of tying a rope to himself and having the friendly NPC with the wagon hold the other end of the rope. And they went in and they started taking levels of exhaustion. But then it was about pulling them all out before the girl died, because she was failing her own con saves. And they managed to just, in the nick of time, in the last saving throw that they had to make, extricate all 3 of themselves tied up into a jumble of rope and 3 characters. And they, were pulled out by the wagon and the horses out of the wall of the mist. And they survived. And it was so epic. And we were clapping and laughing and shouting. And it was amazing. And I was like, and that's going in the podcast. But then what like a sort of tense, epic sort of beginning to a session. And then the other half of the session, they met Jenny, my very, very familiar NPC hag who sells magic items, but with a twist, and asks for weird prices. And that became the most ridiculous session we've ever had. She starts flirting with them. Oh, hello, dear, aren't you all muscular? And stuff like that. So it went from this epic sort of badass intro to the session to the weirdest, slightly sexually suggestive, bizarre, cool, balls to the wall kind of session that we could have had. So it was overall a great time. And they're a good group for it. Yeah,
it sounds awesome. Sounds very similar to that short, the one of Stephen King's.
Oh yeah,
is Novatelli.
The Mist.
The Mist.
The Mist. Yeah. So I've never read the book, but I saw the so movie.
Yeah.
Okay. The movie is so, but the ending is the most
dark,
gut-wrenching.
It's depressing.
Oh god, it's so harrowing, isn't it? So harrowing.
I watched the movie. I'm like, it's so, and then I finally see them escape, and then there's that moment, and you're like, well, it's Stephen King. I knew this was going to end in tragedy, but then there's more to the ending that makes you realize how pointless it all was, and I'm like, no, screw this freaking book and this author. Oh, why did I think this was going to have a good ending?
I don't think that's not how the book ends. That's just a movie thing that got ending. That was something they added. And I think Stephen King came out afterwards and said, "Oh God, I wish I'd ended it like that."
No, God. I watched it recently because we were running this Ravenloft campaign. And I was like, I've never seen this. I got to check it out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. It's good. I like Stephen King, but I do think he goes a bit too far when it comes to it seems to be like this theme of children getting hurt an awful lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like loads of that, and it's just like, okay, what's going on there? That's a bit dark.
Yeah, I hear you. I started on the Black Tower series, which I think, the Dark Tower series, which I think is his magnus opus. I have yet to finish it, but I've heard many good things, and as far as I know, there's not many kids involved.
I've got as far as the book where they're banging on about the riddles and they're on the train. That's as far as I've got.
Yeah.
Because the thing with Stephen King is because I've read his autobiography, and in his autobiography he talks about how he basically The Stand, which was his first big novel that he wrote, was just it's the reason it's that big is because he had no idea where the story was going. And he literally had writer's block, and he was just like making up stuff as he went along. And in the Dark Tower series, in that particular bit on the train, I'm like, he's just put this in here for the sake of putting it in here. There's no reason. This is absolutely no point to the story whatsoever. It's just they're on a train that's obsessed with riddles, and he's just, I was just like, right, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't seem to go anywhere. And I was like, okay. And then we're on a train, for God's sakes.
I know. Right.
I mean, must be going somewhere.
Nowhere on a train.
Yeah,
I read
right.
The Hobbit and was like, wow, it's a big fantasy epic. These riddles, didn't it? Let's recreate the Gollum scene.
Yeah, right.
Riddles in the
Exactly.
dark.
Yeah.
Right
So what's
on.
your story, James?
Yes, so not too long ago, I had a campaign finish. So spoilers for the end of the Spelljammer Light of Xeraxis
Ooh.
adventure. So be prepared for that. But at the adventure that I ran actually ended up being very, very brutal. So that by just with, I love like how the dice fell in combats and stuff. And it's a group that is totally fine with that. I'll roll the dice on Roll20 so they can see. And I think I killed 2 characters in one session with Casby,
Ooh.
Oh, man.
which are like the demonic
Mosquito
mosquitoes, basically.
creatures. Yeah. They do a lot of damage. Yeah.
They do a lot of damage, and they were actually like the counter was very balanced. I hadn't made it like too challenging, I thought, but then these creatures rolled 3 crits in a row, which I think totaled something like 80 something. Killed 2 off, and then further sessions, 1 got caught in a trap. 1 character sacrificed themselves to kill a space shark. Got inside it and blew it up from the inside out and took themselves out with it.
Oh my god, badass!
Yeah.
Oh, it was dope because they were like, I want to run a new character. I've run this for a while now, and I want to try something new. And I'm in this position, so I think what I'm going to do is just do as much damage as possible and blow myself and this thing up and go out in a blaze of glory. So great. So by the time I got to the end of the campaign, there was only 1 original character left. And the way Sam, the player, played it was that by the time they got to the end, so the end of the campaign, you basically have to make a choice between who you want to rule this astral elf kingdom. You can either choose, is it between a brother and a sister? The brother
Zendali or Xerxes or...
Yes,
yeah. Not Zendali. What's her name? Zendali? Princess Zendali.
Zendali, and I can't remember the brother's name, but yes. Something that starts with an X.
Yep, because everything was X. It's like, this is Xerxes, this is the light of Xerxes in the Xerxian space system with Princess Zendali and Prince Zidder and all fucking X's.
Yes, so you get to choose, and then there is the opportunity to so the adventure starts where the elves have seeded the character's planet. So they've fired lots of these crystalline seeds, and essentially they're cannibalizing the planet, going to drain it of all its energy to keep their sun running, because their sun should have extinguished long ago. And so what they do now is they go and they destroy planets and take the energy from the core to keep their sun alive. So the choice at the end is basically, well, you can sacrifice your world to keep the sun alive, because there's 3 planets surrounding this, like their space.
There's a whole solar
where
system
they live.
at stake.
There's a whole solar system that will be like 2 of the planets will be obliterated immediately if you destroy it, and then the 3rd one, it will be plunged into like eternal darkness because there won't be a light. They'll have to all evacuate. So obviously the players were like, well, we're going to save our planet. These guys can't keep doing this infinitely. Like, in the long run, the math makes sense. But the way you have to do this is there's the ring that the brother and the sister have has to be plunged into the heart of the star. And there is a beam that goes from the temple that the adventure ends in, where there's like a final confrontation, where one player wearing the ring can step into the beam and be shot into the heart of the sun to sacrifice themselves.
Like a Thor style from Infinity War, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Sam, playing this bugbear barbarian called Zog, was like, Zog, all my friends have died, so I really love you guys.
Oh,
but I've lost everything already. So he took the ring and was like, and then he gave like this really lovely speech that I'm not going to be able to recreate, about how he was going to see his friends, and then stepped into the light,
Oh man.
disappeared, and it was
Oh.
like described his final thoughts of the friends that had lost as he plunged headfirst into the heart of this star. And then the other players were just stood in this temple, and in the distance you just saw the star explode, wiping out these 2 planets that are close by.
Oh my
Crikey.
god!
Wow,
what an ending!
Yeah, so as a campaign ending, it was really cool and satisfying and emotional.
What a
but,
sacrifice!
Oh wow.
My
That's
hats off
awesome.
to Zog the Bugbear Barbarian.
Yeah, right.
Gosh,
Crikey.
what a cool story!
Yeah, really good.
I mean, Mass Effect vibes all over it.
Oh yeah,
Or Halo with the beam like sort of going for the center of the mass
yes,
and something
yeah.
having a sacrifice. What a badass story. I was gonna say, not to be all sciencey about this, but I just wanted to insert this cool factoid that I learned off of one of those casual science TikTok videos. You know that if our sun in our solar system were to suddenly vanish or implode, we wouldn't even know it for 8 minutes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it takes
Because
8 minutes
that's
for
how long
light to get here.
light to reach. And then somebody counter argued, well, you'd know faster than that because the gravity of the sun that's keeping us in our orbit would instantly cease and we'd be spun off into space, right? Without anything to root us into the solar system. So we'd know sooner than that because we suddenly don't have gravity. And the counter to that was actually no, because gravity has a finite speed as well, which is it doesn't come quite close to the speed of light. Because the speed of light is just the speed limit of space, because photons of light are massless. So that's why light travels as fast as it does, because it doesn't have any mass. So that's effectively the barrier or the speed limit of space. And even gravity is not that fast. So we wouldn't stop feeling the gravitational pull of the sun until at least the time that the light reaches us, or the lack of light reaches us.
Damn.
So, I don't know.
Wow.
I thought that was cool.
So it could have happened right now, and I'll have to wait 8 minutes to find out.
And 8 minutes, yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, what a cool ending, though. What a story.
Yeah, really cool. I like the bit about the shark. So do you think you could do a one shot that's basically Jaws in the Spelljammer universe?
Oh,
and just
yeah.
kind of like,
Oh, yeah.
100.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There's a creature called a scaver. I think that's the shark
Yeah.
creature. There's like
The
different.
black scaver was the
black
big one.
scaver. Yeah.
Cool.
Vicious.
That'd be sick. What could it be up to? Could it be like eating like space stations or something? And
Ooh, tell you what, if you want to do you could do an astral dreadnought doing that, but then it's a little less Jaws and more. Oh god,
because if you're gonna do it, you'd have to do it exactly how the film is like structured. So like they don't like the fact that there's a shark because it's destroying all the tourism in the town that they're in. What's the town called again? Anyone remember it?
Amityville, right?
Amityville, yes.
Amityville,
yeah.
It's I think it's supposed to be based on Long Island, where I'm from, so I should know this more. Yeah,
brilliant. You've got the guy wearing the suit that's got the anchors on it. Yeah,
wow,
so he's like he's the town mayor, isn't he? Is he a town mayor or something? And he's like, no.
This is the 4th of July. This is when the beaches are full.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd have to do all of that. Try and have all of that in it, and then that crazy dude who's like a shark catcher, who's like, I've catch sharks. I've been out to sea longer than you've had babies. And I've caught a shark. It's as big as your house. like that guy.
When they bite into you, their eyes roll back, and you see them wide eyes. Those
that's it.
Balls eyes. God, so bad. And then he gets eaten that exact same way. Spoilers for a movie from the 70s. Seen it.
What?
I know.
Oh, it's so good. So good. So, what news we got, James?
There's not a great deal, but I do have a couple of little things. So, as we all know and are excited about, probably, if you've got a good enough PC, you can from the 3rd, which is Wednesday or Thursday this week. Thursday this week. Play Baldur's Gate 3, fully released. So, and if you get early access, you can play it. You can play it from Wednesday because you get. Actually, you might even be able to play it from Tuesday with 70. I can't remember if it's 72 hours or 48 hours early access to the game. Tell
Wow.
me. It could be today, and I don't know.
It could be today. What are you doing recording this podcast? Leave.
Yeah.
Go
Is it
play.
on? Is
No,
it
I
on
don't have
Steam?
a
Is it? Is it on
It's
Steam?
on Steam,
Okay,
but not yet the
cool.
PS5 store.
No,
I'm
another
I'm
month
like,
wait for me.
yep. Wait, hey,
God.
listen. I'm like, I can't play on Thursday. That's when our show starts here in Edinburgh. I can't.
Oh, God.
Maybe I'll just skip it. Maybe I'll skip the whole reason I came up here and just sit in the Airbnb and play Baldur's Gate 3
Yeah, right.
instead.
JC, you're on.
Right.
You're on now. Just one
Oh,
more minute.
oh.
I'm just.
Hold on.
Right.
I nearly got the right angle of my Dragonborn's horns correct. All right, just hang on a sec.
It's been 16 hours. How are you still on character creation? There's just so many options.
Brilliant. Oh,
Um,
so funny.
Yeah, so it would appear they have successfully hit the launch date that they brought forward, so they've not ended up delaying it again, which is good.
Amazing. Good stuff.
Knock on
probably
wood.
to avoid Starfield that's coming out in September.
I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna play the shit out of that.
Yeah,
All right,
Yeah.
nice.
I'm not because I don't have an Xbox, but I'll have
yeah.
Baldur's Gate that month on the PlayStation, so it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
I'll be
You'll have
alternating between the
something.
two.
Yeah, I can finally. I can play with. We can play together.
Hey, you guys
We'll
just
sort something out.
You're
Multiplayer.
close,
Yeah.
right? Ish.
Yeah,
ish.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, you play online. We don't even need to physically.
Oh, there you
You
go.
see, we can play with you.
Sweet.
Finding the time of day to do it will be the tricky bit. But
Yeah, of course, right with the time.
Yeah, well, yeah. Work from home.
If I need to,
Yeah.
if you guys need to be up from like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. to play with me, I expect that. All right, minimum.
Cool.
And quite often I am up at that time. So
See?
yeah. So
Brilliant.
the release date on the 3rd of August for the UK is 4 p.m. It will go live. So unless you've paid early access, if you buy it on the day or get an online version a little bit too
4
late.
p.m. on the 3rd. Right,
4
writing that
p.m.
down.
on the 3rd.
4
Go in our
p.m.
calendar.
3rd of August. 3rd of
See,
August.
Clear your
Find-
schedule for the next 3 weeks.
Find something for Charlotte to do. Like, oh, there's like really, there's this really cool yoga class going on that's being hosted by this like award-winning dude up in Manu. Maybe you should go. Starts at 4 p.m. on the 3rd of August.
There you go.
I've got
It
your
lasts,
ticket. I've got your ticket to this thing.
It's actually a retreat. It lasts about a week. Have fun.
Yeah, right. Oh, the dream.
I don't know if we have any US listeners, but because JCCI I will maybe throw out the US time. So it's 8 a.m. in Los Angeles and 11 a.m. New York times. I don't have a time in between then, and I realise that there are multiple time zones in the US, but those are the two that have been given. So there we go.
Those are the important ones. No, I'm kidding. I'm so sorry to all of our weird middle America listeners, or Rocky Mountain time listeners.
They're like, hey,
yeah.
What I saying?
Just for my brother, it's 1 a.m. Sydney, Sydney time.
There you go.
1 a.m.
on the 4th of August. It's released there. Midnight Tokyo on the 4th. This is the very start of the day, the first minute of the day, and 3 a.m. in New Zealand. Yeah.
So it is actually released at the same time everywhere.
Right, just across.
Just different time zones.
Yeah.
Right on.
Right.
Yeah.
Like how I figured that out.
When he said 11 and 8, I was like, yeah.
Clever stuff.
Yeah.
It was so clever. I can work out time zones.
Just like leveraged.
Okay.
Cool.
So there is no preload of the game, however.
Because
of how long it was in early access, you can't log on. So they'd have to create this very complicated workaround by the sounds of it to not have you just immediately access it if you could preload it too early. So there might be a preload, but I think it will be close to the time if there is.
So really, you're only going to get to start playing it first if your computer is fast enough and if your internet Wi-Fi is good enough. Right?
Yeah, that's correct. Like on most cool new games, you need to have a good PC if you're playing it on PC, and it will work a lot better and be much more fun.
It'll take 2 days to download even.
Yeah, for our PCs.
Just every time I'm playing a game and it needs an update for me to start playing it, I'm like, great. Well, I had half an hour to an hour to play this, and now I'm going to have 5 to 10
5
minutes.
minutes.
Yeah. I get so
Exactly.
I get so annoyed. I do this because I've got like this like whole setup with Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've got like my yokes thing here that I've got to like attach to the table and you know, like sort of like pull it in and stuff. I'll show you guys 1 second. See here.
I love
Oh,
Microsoft
geez,
Flight
that's
Simulator
what that is.
as a
Yes.
kid.
I've been seeing that in the corner. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. That's so
That's
intense.
patches here. So I fly my planes with that.
That's
I really
like
wanted
your size.
I got rudder pedals down here as well.
Of course
Oh
you
my
do.
god,
It's
you
so
went all out
so
for that simulator. Huh?
It's
That's-
so cool.
That's
And
very
I've got
cool.
I've got the Toby eye tracker here, so wherever I look, the screen moves like this.
Oh yeah,
It's so cool. Because I did have the VR one, but the VR I didn't get on with the VR. It was a bit too like made me feel a bit sick after a while. So when I'm doing this, it's like so much more easy to play. And
Right.
so I literally once I've set everything up and I'm ready to play, I'm like, yeah, great. I load it up and it's like, oh, we've got to install an update. It's going to take 6 gigs, and you're like, great. That's literally an entire day.
That's my playtime gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love.
so livid.
I obviously I don't have a PC, so I can't play Flight Simulator or an Xbox, so I can't play it on there either. But on the VR, what I did want to get a flight stick for was the Star Wars Squadrons.
Oh yeah,
VR is crazy good.
Yeah, it looks
Like
so cool in VR.
So immersive, just sitting in the cockpits of all the different Star Wars ships.
Yeah, nice.
Awesome. Like, oh, it like made me feel like a tiny little child again, going to see the Phantom Menace and actually enjoying it at the time because I was a child.
Oh, it's so good. I hate the story though in that. I think the story is just
was it rubbish?
So naff.
Oh, and Squadrons, yeah.
The Squadrons is so naff. They really because the original ones, the original X-wing, the original TIE Fighter that were on like the Amigas and like the early PCs. Their story was brilliant. This is just like crap.
It's amazing how much lately, especially with remakes and whatnot, even movies for that matter, there's so much quality is sacrificed.
Yeah,
you know, so much quality content in it, or quality of content, and all in the name of, oh, we're just gonna throw in hopefully a very nice new skin on it and people will play it. Like, come on, like it's not the only reason. Like, to keep us engaged in what we're doing, not just anyway.
Well, I think if the last couple of weeks have showed us anything, it's that new properties are gonna are like coming. Barbie, I saw last night actually.
Are we good? My brother said it was amazing. My brother said like Ken's journey is apparently excellent and really funny.
Yeah, it is very funny, and yeah, it has a great message, and yeah,
it really does. It's far more meta than I really thought it would ever. And Mattel is poking fun at itself constantly. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it yet, but I mean, do Barbenheimer, do the double feature, and get overloaded by good content for a weekend.
That'd be cool.
Right? I need to see Oppenheimer. I think I'd probably, if I was going to do a double bill, that's probably a bit of a downer Oppenheimer, so you'd probably want to finish on Barbie, which is quite uplifting.
Well, poor little Mission Impossible's there, just being like, "Hey guys, do you want to come and watch me, guys? Please."
Is there actually a Mission Impossible film out? I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's just flown under the radar.
Exactly. Tom Cruise is livid.
Yeah,
I did all my own stunts again.
Yeah, for the 50th time.
I put my life on the line, and no one's come to see it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Broke his spine 8 times.
Yeah.
He's more machine than man now.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Cool. So the only other bit of news I had is that there was an indie RPG released last year called Fabula Ultima, which is a JRPG inspired game that is currently making waves at the ENnies. It's been nominated for 2023 ENnie Award for Best Game of the Year and Product of the Year. So it is a tabletop RPG that is sort of based around classic JRPG style video games. So your Final Fantasies, and I've now forgotten the name of it. The other one, Fire Emblem. That is the one I was looking for.
That's a good one.
I've played 3 Houses recently. I love it.
The Tales series, right? Whatever they're
Valkyria Chronicles, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Things like that. So yes, it is. The art style for it is exactly what you'd expect to see on the posters for like those games. It looks really good. Apparently, it's quite a crunchy game with a lot of depth. So the amount of classes you can be is apparently
That's cool.
nuts. And it's got all the sort of like weird named ones that you can, like Tinkerer, Wayfarer, Arcanist, Elementalist, Sharpshooters. So it looks like there'll be firearms. It looks sort of it does have that sort of Final Fantasy blend of like firearms, pirates, and fantasy, and a bit of everything in to work with it. So it is what is it? What systems it use? But not by Apocalypse, powered by the Apocalypse.
By the Apocalypse system.
Yeah. Apparently.
Nice.
Oh no, sorry. It's more crunchy than Powered by the Apocalypse, but
gotcha.
That's what it's being compared to
cool.
here in my notes. So
great.
No, it looks.
It sounds fun.
It looks very pretty. Yeah. So there's like a whole system for bonds and sort of doing interpersonal relationships, which is
nice.
Which is pretty cool. I had an idea on how to run it, like encounters based around what's it, non-combat encounters, like speech encounters, charisma checks and stuff like that, rather than needing a roll. I was thinking about trying in some game in one of the games I'm running in the future to try doing maybe a mechanic based around hitting keywords. So say you need to persuade this guard to let you do this thing. There are some keywords, and you can be a bit flexible with them, obviously. So synonyms, etc. But these are the sort of points that if you hit these, you're likely to succeed. So you might not know it, but the guard's got
That's a brilliant idea.
A daughter that reminds him of something, or he is disgruntled at something, and if you can hit on that point, then okay, you'll succeed the check. You don't need to.
Also, very cool idea. Yeah.
Quick disclaimer: that was James Burrow's idea there that he's just put forward into a podcast. It's now in the public domain. So if anyone ever copies it and puts it into an RPG, James is going to sue their asses.
Goddamn right I am.
A lot of money.
Hopefully, tell you what, if someone can do it and make a lot of money from it, and then I can sue them, that I'm okay with that too.
There you go. All the work. You just bypass it, right?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So I'm gonna try working on that. So I'm hopefully running a Dread game soon. So I might try and work.
Cool.
That.
You figured out how to do it online?
Yes, I think I'm gonna ask the players to get their own Jenga set. I imagine most players will have their own already.
Are you sure it's not on Tabletopia or anything like that?
It is. So I've seen people say that they've got online Jenga towers that you can use, and there's a number of different ways to do that. But apparently the physics on them are all very janky.
Sure, like I can't imagine you trying to play Jenga on something like Tabletop Simulator with how weird the physics are in that, where you can flip the table at any point, right?
Yeah. So what I can imagine happening is that it's very easy to knock a tower over on the Tabletop Simulator. That's from my experience. That's how it's worked. It's very easy to you don't get that like tangible feel of that one's a bit stuck. You just pull and then the entire thing falls over. And in a game where the tower falls over, your character's dead. That's it.
Jesus Christ.
That would probably lead to some premature deaths and not a fun time for anyone. So
we were talking about heart palpitations earlier. That's what would give me that anxiety-inducing heart palpitation. Like, oh, you mean the character that I've spent 20 hours building and perfecting, and if I'm a little twitchy with my pinky, the whole thing dies? No.
Christ, yeah.
Well, the only the good thing about the character creation is that it is a questionnaire that I get to design to ask them, and you get to ask leading questions as well. So it really helps them get into. It helps them build the character. It's not as much freedom maybe as writing a D&D backstory, because I can ask leading questions like, okay, so what is the reason that you are scared of jellyfish? And then you've got to create an answer for that. Presumably, that's because when I plan the adventure, there's a reason that you will have to be scared of jellyfish, and jellyfish will probably be in there in some capacity.
Well, when I was 6 and I was peeing in the ocean.
My brother got stung, and I had to pee on it. It was a horrible memory that I can't escape from. No, yeah. So I ordered. I think I said at the thing on Friday. I ordered the Jenga tower. off Amazon, and I thought I got a fantastic deal on it. Like,
Oh yeah.
great. I only
How
paid
much?
£2.18.
What?
And
Ah.
I was
That's
like,
really
"Whoa."
good.
And that's what I thought. And then what
Right.
arrived was this. Now I realize people on the podcast
So
can't see this, but it
yeah,
is about
It's a
7
little bit
inches
bigger
high.
than a bill, right?
Yeah,
6 inches, maybe a
about
bit
the size of
shorter.
my hand, and it is a full Jenga tower, but it's made of
But it's
tiny,
minuscule.
tiny bricks.
It's a baby Jenga tower. That's great though. That's like a
Oh.
baby version of it, right? So your players can have extra, like just give them a pair of tweezers, and everyone just pulls out the blocks. That
I've tried building this as well to see how difficult it would be, to see if I can get away with using it.
nightmare.
My
Too tough.
huge sausage fingers
Mm.
makes it very hard, and I don't have that big of hands either. And it's all very light. I think like a strong breeze would knock the bloody thing over.
You have the window open. Oh
Yeah.
no, TPK!
I'm really sorry to have done this to you guys, but you've all died because someone spoke in the next room and the vibrations have knocked it over.
Yeah, right. Oh,
That actually sounds like the kind of game I would love. Like the sheer chaos. Come in with 15 different characters and see what shenanigans would knock over the Jenga tower.
That would be so funny.
Actually, there was a game that someone mentioned on Friday that I'm now super invested in trying. I think the 10 Candles.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Let's check that out. I want to check that out.
We were running, for
awesome.
context, we were running a panel at the end of our event on Friday, the GM Academy of Rolldark at Oxford. And one of the questions in the audience, which was probably the best question, the one we definitely spent the most time answering, was what other TTRPG systems would you recommend apart from D&D? And we literally, like, the whole panel clapped. Every GM in that room clapped because we were like, yes, well done, you're finding your way to other products. And then everyone spoke at least 3 or 4 times about what other games to play. Yeah. So yeah, Candles in the Dark sounds really good.
Yeah.
So
I
just
like the
Candles
idea
in the
you
Dark.
get to burn stuff in the game, and the pyromaniac in me super invested in that. So you go through stuff and you burn character traits as you get weaker, or you use that trait to do something, and you just then have to burn it. And it seems very like visceral. You're playing in this dark room, and there's 10 candles, and once they're all out, the game's over. Oh, it really appeals. I think it's like an October horror thing that I'm gonna have to try and put together.
Definitely.
10 Candles, a candlelit role-playing game of tragic horror. Like I'm already sold. I don't want to know anything else. I just want to pay you money. Give me. Shut up and take my cash.
Yeah, exactly. I've got the website up here, guys. One of you want to read out the description? I've got the info here.
Yes. Okay. So
I can take a stab. I think I have it.
Go on.
Go for it.
Okay. What is 10 Candles? 10 Candles is a zero prep tabletop storytelling game designed for one-shot 2 to 4 hour sessions of tragic horror. It is best played with 1 GM and 3 to 5 players by the light of 10 tea light candles, which provide atmosphere as a countdown timer for the game and allow you to literally burn your character sheet away as you play. 10 Candles is described as a tragic horror game rather than survival horror for one main reason. In 10 Candles, there are no survivors. In the final scene of the game, when only 1 candle remains, all of the characters will die. In this, 10 Candles is not a game about winning or beating the monsters. Instead, it is a game about what happens in the dark and about those who try to survive within it. It is a game about being pushed to the brink of madness and despair, searching for hope in a hopeless world, and trying to do something meaningful with your final few hours left.
Crikey.
I think someone mentioned there's like a mechanic where you sort of record like a voice note for your character's last moments, like as in like in the event of my death, and then you do like a little speech for your character, and then when your character dies, you get to play that to the table. So you go away, make a little voice note on your phone, and that I can imagine that being such an awesome emotional moment when like you've had this adventure and these experiences with the characters, then this is what their in their final moments, this is what they wanted to pass on to the other people in the world.
So cool. Wow.
It's a very cool
Whoever
idea.
thought of this is a genius.
Yeah, they're pretty clever guys.
Yeah.
We should get him on the podcast. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Objectives, but we need to play it first. So
yeah, we do need to play it
true,
first. Yeah, we should probably play it first before we like, hey, so yeah, welcome to the podcast.
yeah. We don't know.
We've not played your game,
so
but we really like the idea of
Never
it.
played it. Okay.
Like every talk show host
cool.
that's never seen the movie that they want their actor to talk about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think before we go, I think it's only fair that that James, you give JC a monster to come up with.
Oh, you.
I think that is
Only fair.
Oh, you're gonna make it random. Here we
Pick
go.
the toughest one you can find.
Monster Manual. Come on.
Oh wow, classic! Look at that.
Hit me with it.
That's
no
too
pressure,
easy.
right?
Oh, I see. That would be.
I gave a talk about this. I was gonna pick something with no mouth.
I was gonna say exactly.
or worse, too many mouths, like a gibbering mouth.
Can you do an Umber Hulk? So you've got your big frame, you've got the giant pincers coming out the side of the face, and then like the little mandibles. Lives underground.
Yep.
So I'm trying to think what other things I can.
Big bug eyes.
Hold the picture up, James. Let's have a little look at it. Oh yeah, that thing. Yeah, that.
You know
big,
the one,
like,
right?
Buggy thing. Yeah, of course.
So I love the lore on these guys. They're underground tunnelers, and they have tremor sense, so they're very good at hiding behind cavern walls and bursting out when something is walking next to it. So they like grab you and drag you back into the wall. It's insane.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can burrow.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other guidances you want to give?
Oh, I mean, it seems to probably devour like bits of rock, so that's probably going to be quite gravelly voice.
Strong jaws, I imagine. Then
big old strong jaws. It is it's quite hunched actually. It is quite hunched in the image. It's got a squeeze through tight spaces as well. Chitinous hard outer shell. That probably is a bit echoey. I realise that's quite difficult to achieve without a bit of.
So I've seen some people do that. You know, it's kind of crazy what like ventriloquists can do.
Oh wow!
All right, I'll take a stab at it. We're going to assume this is not just monster noises, but it's like actually trying to say something, right? It's communicating in some way. So,
how about, this is your last day on Earth, mortals.
Okay, we can go with that.
Cool. Last day on Earth, mortals.
That's a good starting place. There's actually even a cooler image where acid is dripping out of its mandibles. So imagine all that. I ran out of water. I was going to take a swig of liquid and let it fly. Okay, so insectoids, with a bit of reverberation. Okay, so I imagine it would be something like this, just on the fly, no prep.
This is your last day on Earth, mortals.
That's lovely. I like that.
Great.
Something like that.
Yep, that sounds pretty awesome. I was basically just trying to look at the image and just like, there we go, there it is.
I feel like there's a lot of like moving parts to it, right? So a lot of like a lot of stuttering sort of high pitched shrieks, but also some bass to it because it's so large. So it's
right. Yeah, nice, cool. All right. Well,
this is what we do for a living, guys.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm gonna go away now. I'll be in the car driving home in the car tonight, being like, "Oh, what other voices can I do?"
Right. I was really hoping you were like, "Oh, chuck something small and like nasally at me." I've been doing quite a lot of those voices already recently. So
nice.
I'd have been a nice softball.
Give you a little gnome ceramorph, right, or a gnome squidling. Fun.
Nice one. Okay, well, thanks for joining us in the podcast again, everyone that's been listening, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye from me.